Welcome back. Various creative minds in and around the Free State province will once again gather at the Bloemfontein campus of the University of the Free State for this year's edition of the Vrystaat Arts Festival. From the 8th to the 14th of July, the City of Roses will be buzzing with the best in theatre, music, visual arts, film, performing arts, craft and food art this country has to offer. And for more, let's speak to the festival's director, Ricardo Peach, who joins me now from Bloemfontein. A very good morning to you, Ricardo, and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you about the Vrystaat Arts Festival.
It's an absolute pleasure. Talk to us about how this festival has changed the game in terms of the evolution and the nurturing of creative artists that come from the Free State.
Look, I think we in the Free State are incredibly lucky because we have some of the most creative people in South Africa who kind of create work in multilingual formats and kind of in experimental genres that the rest of the country is only beginning to understand now. So for people to come to the Free State to see what the Free State artists have to offer is kind of quite extraordinary.
Now, Ricardo, this festival has been heavily criticized for quite a while now for being mainly an Afrikaans language celebration event, whereas there are other languages spoken in the province. Are we going to see an inclusion of other languages at this year's festival?
Look, it's an interesting development. The Vrystaat Arts Festival has been around for 18 years now, and it started off and it still is a core Afrikaans language festival. We have additional festivals in the Free State, such as Makufi, that has predominantly Sesotho and Tswana language offerings as well. But the Vrystaat Arts Festival, or Kunstefees, Chaba as it's been renamed, also engages with Sotho and English and other national and international languages. So at its core, because it does not get government funding, it is still an Afrikaans language festival because brown and white, predominantly women, buy tickets to Afrikaans theatre and music. So I thank them for what they do and I bring them on board as ambassadors, and through their success also say we can also do other productions in Sesotho and in Tswana and English and kind of become more multilingual and also multi-genre.
Now, for the first time ever, we'll see an introduction of the Pan-African Creative Exchange. Talk to us about this.
Look, the Pan-African Exchange is one of those examples of initiatives that the festival developed to create cultural capacity for people outside of the Afrikaans language cultural environment. So the Pan-African Cultural Exchange, or PACE, was funded by the National Afrikaans Theatre Initiative, ironically, that is also kind of supporting more multilingual work, incorporating Afrikaans. So the Pan-African Creative Exchange means we're getting artists from as far away as Nigeria, Rwanda, Egypt, Senegal, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Lesotho. I think there's about 30 artists and groups coming from all over Africa to Bloemfontein because Bloemfontein has the best theatre infrastructure of any secondary city in Africa, not just South Africa. And it is here that we're trying to create a portal for international presenters and producers from as far away as Australia, Belgium, France, the US, Singapore, to come and see work created by African artists on the African continent. Because at present, less than 1% of the international touring work that go out into the world come from Africa. And we know that that number is ridiculous because the amount of creativity that takes place on the African continent is extraordinary. And so we're creating this portal for international presenters and producers to see the extraordinary work that's happening on the African continent.
That's actually interesting, Ricardo, and I want to engage you about the creative arts industry in the Free State. How do festivals of this nature contribute to growing the sector?
It's extraordinary what's happened over the last 4 years since we've kind of created a new strategy for this Afrikaans language festival that tries to assist and does assist in the creative development of other cultures. You know, in South Africa, the creative industry is currently, I think it's about 1.5 to 2% of GDP. In more developed countries, the GDP for the creative industries is between 7 and 8%. So the creative industries has an enormous capacity to grow, and we saw that last year already for the festival, where we went from about 160,000 120,000 people the previous years to about 255,000 people who engaged with the arts. And this does not necessarily mean people who buy tickets all the time. It's people who kind of experience the work that we do in public spaces, like in the middle of the city, or through kind of initiatives that we develop, like the Pan-African Creative Exchange.
And it's actually interesting the rate of the growth of the film industry, of the creative arts industry, particularly in the Free State and of course in all other provinces. And break down for us, if you can, the program between the 8th of July and the 14th.
So there's three parts to the festival. There's the main festival that has kind of a very curated program, and that starts on the 8th already, which is music, theatre, visual arts, film, you name it, experimental arts, we've got it there. Then we have a literature festival. The literature festival now is the biggest in South Africa. It's also the most internationally engaged literature festival. We've got about 130 writers, about 20 or so of them international. And then we have a fringe festival, which is non-language specific. So the fringe has grown, you know, it's been three years in the making. It's gone from about 15 to 20 productions to over 50, 60 productions this year from people all over South Africa and internationally. So the growth has been phenomenal, and we invite everybody to come and experience this kind of extraordinary creative energy here in the Free State from Free State hospitality.
Free State is a place to be. Thank you so much, Ricardo. Well, all the way from Bloemfontein, that's Ricardo Peach, and he's the Vrystaat Arts Festival's director, and he was talking to us about what to expect this year's edition of the event that's set to take place from the 8th to the 14th of July in Bloemfontein. Let's take a final commercial break now.